Top stories from around the island. To the point. Without the fluff. Puerto Rico headline news. Please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell notification.
Hello, and welcome to Puerto Rico Headline News for May 25th, 2020. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the channel. And to my current subscribers, I want to have give a special shout out to them, to all of you, for being patient. I know I've been offline for just about a month as my channel was being reviewed. Good news, I just was alerted today. Everything is okay, and I can continue to upload videos to this channel. So I hope that you'll stay tuned, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Now, the purpose of this channel has always been and will continue to be to provide the top news stories in English with anything that has to do with Puerto Rico in itself. I moved here about 7 years ago, and although I'm bilingual, I prefer to have my news in English. And many of the friends that I've made here in Puerto Rico are strictly English speaking. So I found myself updating them constantly, especially during the time of Hurricane Maria, news that was occurring and taking place here on the island, just because they just did not have any access to anything local here in Puerto Rico. And then just about a year ago, I decided to do these updates online through YouTube, and just reporting and translating really top stories that were occurring here on the island. So now I'm back, and that's exactly what I'll continue to do. As I get back into the routine, I'll be able to increase the amount of videos that I upload. For the time being, I'll probably do any top breaking news like the one that I'm going to be reporting today, or provide a weekly summary of what's taken place in Puerto Rico, making sure that the stories are something of interest and important for you to tune into this channel. So once again, I want to welcome everyone, and especially my subscribers. Thank you very much for your patience and for checking in on me. Many of you did post in the comments, and I explained the fact that the channel was being reviewed. So anyways, so let's get to our story for today. So I'm going to update some new news that occurred today, but just kind of catch up on what's happened last week. On Thursday, May 21st, this is when Wanda Vasquez announced to the island the fact that she's extended the curfew or the lockdown until June 15th. But at the same time, she's reported some easing of restrictions on the island that will certainly benefit a lot of people here in Puerto Rico. So she's lifting a large part of the forced closings that took place in the commercial, recreational, and religious activity of the country. And that's exactly what we're going to cover here quickly, so that you're up to date on what's been going on. And certainly, if you were aware over the weekend, a lot of people headed out to the beach. That was a restriction that was lifted. Not complete access to the beach, and then I'll explain a little bit further on that situation as well. So heading to this article that was provided by El Nuevo Dia on Thursday, the basic information that was provided, that the governor explained that this new executive order will take effect on Tuesday, May 26th, and that's tomorrow. So among the new guidelines is the required use of face masks, not only during visits to stores that are open, but at all times when people are outside their home. Now, new businesses are going to be opening, but they will be limited. And in most cases, the store hours will be from Monday to Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The majority of the new businesses that are being opened will stick to that to that schedule. And then Sunday, still all businesses being closed except the supermarkets and the pharmacies. Now, in order for a business to reopen, if they've been closed since the lockdown began, each business must present a self-certification of compliance with the prevention guidelines that were provided by the Department of Labor and Human Resources before they can actually reopen. Now, she argued that employers have to be aware that many working parents are going to have difficulty obtaining care for their children. So the government is still pushing remote work to be maintained whenever possible. So hopefully this is something that may continue if it's to the benefit of current employees. Now, the governor also mentioned that if the spread of the disease does increase, she certainly will reverse any of the flexible restrictions that she's lifted. They could be reversed. However, she does hope that they do remain low and that by mid-June, more restrictions will be lifted. But at the moment, the current curfew will remain at 7 p.m. So we have to be home, stay inside from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, regarding businesses here, we'll touch upon the first lifting of restrictions, and that has to do with shopping malls. Now, the governor indicated that from May 26 tomorrow, Tuesday, shopping centers and malls are going to be able to begin the process of training their staff and preparing to reopen their stores in the malls from June 8th through, and it'll be Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So these malls, they're going to start training their staff tomorrow, May 26th, in hopes of training their staff to be able to deal with the situation. And the shopping malls will begin to be open on June 8th. With the restricted time from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, the way they're going to make this work is the reopening of these stores has to be organized so that in a shopping center or mall with outdoor corridors, people do not occupy more than 50% of the capacity established under the current building code. So there will be some type of limiting, and we've kind of already gotten used to it, where we head over to Sam's Club or to Costco, and they limit the amount of people that can be inside of the building at any given time. So now the same thing will happen here in the malls. Now, closed shopping malls may not exceed one person for every 100 square feet of building. So the governor indicated that some centers are establishing a system to organize the movement of people in the corridors so that they do not cross each other, uh, and they try to keep that down to as at a minimum. Now, the movie theaters, recreational areas, and valet parking services are excluded from this reopening, and they will remain closed. Similarly, in the clothing stores, people will not be able to try on items for the time being during this first phase of reopening in the shopping centers. Now, what about restaurants? Well, restaurants are going to be able to receive customers in their dining rooms, but these spaces may not have more than 25% of the occupancy rate. So, in other words, they're going to be able to open at only a quarter of the capacity that they were used to before the lockdown. So they're going to have to also control the amount of people that enter their establishments to eat inside. Now, home delivery hours, including those for supermarkets, will run until midnight. So they used to make deliveries up until 10 p.m. That's been extended to 12 midnight. So that's something that's been easing of restriction there. Now, interesting enough, it's reported that only about 23% of the restaurants have any intention of reopening at this stage of the reopening phase. So still a lot of restaurants will still remain closed. Churches, somewhat very a topic of high interest. Well, this activity certainly increases risks because of the gathering of people, just like at movie theaters, concerts, and as it is with the attending churches. They will be reopened with this new executive order, but they're making an exception to keeping them closed because they are protected by the Constitution for religious freedom, but they do have to abide by certain guidelines, especially they're limiting the duration of the services, and they have to maintain physical distance from those that are attending, among other things that they obviously have to practice so that they can remain open and limit the amount of risk of the disease spreading. Um, Funeral services, for their part, the wakes, which were sometimes carried out virtually through Zoom or Skype or another mean, because of the lockdown, are now going to be able to be carried out, but in a limited way, with a maximum of 10 people at a time. And the recommendation is also that the wake be held for a few hours prior to the burial or cremation. Uh, like me, uh, we may have done our own haircuts, or we're looking forward to a haircut or getting our hair done. Barbershops and beauty shops, for their part, will be able to start serving clients by appointment. This way, they can avoid the crowds of clients in the waiting rooms. Certainly, we've been to these barber shops, and these waiting rooms don't have many seats, and it does get crowded there. So they're going to do it by appointment so that they can avoid this situation. And it's also required that as a precautionary measure that there's constant hand washing, and if the business serves more than one person at a time, there's sufficient physical distance to avoid the spread of the disease. In the case of car wash, laundries, open air parks, they will be able to open without major restrictions, except for the capacity of occupants has to be reduced by half. So they want to keep this in line as well. Educational services, in-class classes will continue to be prohibited. However, campuses may be used to develop virtual classes or camps during the summer. And likewise, parents of students will be able to go to schools to look for things that students have left in the lockers or locker rooms at the time of the initial lockdown that took place in March. Um, Now, another situation that's opening up here has to do with real estate. So the activities associated with the sale and purchase of real estate are going to continue, but with limitations again regarding the type of house that can be shown to potential clients. So for example, real estate brokers can only show in person those houses that are unoccupied. So houses with people living inside can be displayed, but only virtually. So they're going to make sure that they show you homes that are empty. Casinos or betting, the governor announced that, excuse me, that the electronic lottery drawings are again being allowed, but not the traditional lottery. Races at the race course are reauthorized, as well as operations and betting centers, but only one client at a time and without crowds. And no public will be allowed at the race course, and the races may be broadcast on television or by the internet. And casino gaming, however, was not evaluated at this stage of the reopening. So that's not taking place during this phase, anything related to the casinos. Now, recreation, which includes the beaches, here's some really good information, and primarily a lot of more people are interested in this part, especially, well, today was Memorial Day. A lot of people headed out to the beach. So it says here the governor indicated that the use of beaches, nature reserves, and golf courses will be allowed, but strictly for exercise and recreation. For example, she mentioned that runners, walkers, cyclists, surfers, golfers, any sailing, paddle boarding, and rowing will be allowed. Meanwhile, any type of socializing activity or grouping of people on the beach cannot be carried out. So that we cannot do at the beach. We can also not tan on the beach. So she was specific in this point. And boat operators will not be able to untie their boats with others, anchor on beaches, or disembark in areas other than the marine areas. So again, outdoor physical activities are allowed: walking, jogging, cycling, walking with children, or even pets. But gyms and athletic tracks will remain closed. So just to expand a little bit on the beaches, we can go to the beach. You can take a dip in the water, but you cannot hang out at the beach. We can't. She specified bringing our ice cooler. Can't bring that, and of course we can't hang out on the beach. So we don't know exactly how closely this is going to be monitored, but she's making an exception in this case. But we can't hang out at the beach. So this is some of the most important information. Obviously, this was released on Thursday, and then as of today, as a result of the lifting of or the easing of the restrictions, Governor Wanda Vasquez today on Monday at around 2 o'clock this afternoon, based on her seeing pictures of activities at the beach and video over the weekend and including today, this morning, she was pretty upset. The fact that many people were not practicing social distancing, many people were not using masks at all, and as we can see in this picture here, they did make it. Many did make it out to the beach, and then they were hanging out. So this moved the governor to make an announcement to those here in Puerto Rico that at any minute, if she sees these restrictions are not being followed and the lack of responsibility from some, then she will revert back to being more strict with the restrictions that she did ease on. So she made it very clear today to bring that up. So if we do take advantage of these outings out to the beach, we do want to follow the rules, and it's not that hard. We can do everything else except hang out on the beach. So if we want to do some paddle boarding, we want to do some surfing, take a quick dip in the ocean, we can do that. Walk around, jog, whatever it is. But we just don't want to be hanging out at the beach, laying down a towel, catching some sun, having drinks, from the back of our car or whatever. Typically, what we want to do is head out to the beach, spend a little bit of time there, stay busy, practice social distancing, have our mask, and we can take advantage of the easing of this restriction out in the beach. While not only do we want to be safe, but we also have a responsibility to those around us to be safe as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Keep that in mind, and the easing of restrictions will continue to be lifted, and certainly with hopes of getting back to normal. So once again, I want to thank everyone for those that have subscribed to the channel. If you haven't done so, please do so now, and don't be afraid to share this content with others. Thank you very much for watching. This is Puerto Rico Headline News.